Today we are going to discuss something like today's agenda is we are in day three, and like today's agenda is something like which we are going to discuss the management groups and what is a VM and how to create a VM and how to connect that to that VM and like what is a storage, right? Without storage we can't able to like store the data. Always fit into the storage. And post that, like we have something different types of storages, and we will go through each and every storage and each and every step in detail. First, let me start with Azure management groups. In Azure management groups, right? Uh, what is Azure management groups? See, like whenever you take any organization, right? And like they won't create something like multiple management groups. And what these management groups will do, we are having something like a subscription. We'll have something like a subscription. And for each and every project, they will have their own subscription. Why this subscription is required? To track the bill. How much bill was generated for this month and for that particular project. For each and every project, there will be a certain like there will be some budget, right? And like accordingly we need to plan the resources and the services. Accordingly we need to design a project, entire project. Within that budget we need to complete that project. And for that, in Azure we have something like management groups. What this management group will do, it is something like root. This management group is something like a root of that organization. And under that root, like that we'll call it as a tenant id. Under the tenant id we will have something like a subscription. And what the subscription will do, under the subscription we will have the resource groups. Under the resource groups we will have the resources. It is something like a hierarchy. And what is the use of this? Like in management group, it is something like a folder. Assume it is something like a folder, and under the folder you have certain files, or else you have some other folders inside that folder, and you want to grant some access on each and every folder level. Okay, like if you apply some security policies, it will be replicated to all subscriptions. No need to implement the security policies for only one specific subscription. If we apply on the management group level, and same security policy will be applied in the hierarchy, remaining hierarchy. Okay, just for your knowledge, I will show that image. I think I have that, or else we'll Google it. No, I think we don't have that. Okay, we'll Google that. And then it's not clear. Yeah. If you observe this image, right, this is the management group. Okay, and this is something like a tenant. Okay, and what this management group will do, under this management group we will have multiple subscription. See, for example, if like let's take one example. In one organization we have multiple projects. Like assume like you have some APAC project, and you have some Europe project, and there was some US project and some Australia project. Like that there was something like four different projects. And to track their billing, right, they can't able to create all the subscriptions and like all the resources under same subscription, because it is not possible for them to track like which resource is utilizing how much, and like what is the price for each and every month. It is something like for someone. Okay. Yeah. And like, yeah, under this subscription, right, you can create a multiple resource groups, and this subscription is mainly used for billing purpose. At the end of the month, you can track a bill under this subscription, and even if you have the multiple subscriptions under this tenancy, and you can track the multiple billings, because the bill generates under subscription level. And under this subscription, you can create n number of resource groups. What this resource group will do, it is just something like an empty folder. This resource group is something like an empty folder, and under this resource group you can create multiple resources. And whenever you are creating any resource, right, it will ask like under which subscription you want to create this resource, and, like in which resource group you want to create, and these two details are mandatory. Always obviously the subscription will be added under the tenancy, but like under the subscription, right, these, like whenever you plan to create any resource, right, you have to select these two options. One is subscription and another one is resource group. Okay, is there clear? Any doubts in this? Getting or not getting? Okay, we'll get into the portal. I will show you here. Yeah, see, this is the management group. Okay, and under this management group we can add multiple subscription. Just we need to click on this, but it's a free trial, so we can't able to create. But like the paid one, we can able to create a multiple subscription. This will hold, this is something like a root, this is something like a root. And under this, right, if I get into this subscription, right, and you can see something like we'll have the resource group under this subscription. We'll have the resource groups, and whatever the policy you are going to apply under this subscription, right, same will be applied on remaining hierarchy, the resource group level and the resources level. Okay, and like let me create the resource, then you'll get some idea. Resource groups. See, whenever I don't have anything, let me click on this create, and see now it is asking under which subscription you want to create this resource group. Under which subscription you want to create this resource group, and I will give some name, Ashay underscore. Let me give something like FMCG, and I want to create that in ECS. Let it be. And next, and here you can provide some tags just for identification purpose, like you can create some environment. For which environment? Like in real time we will have something like dev, UAT and prod, right, something like that. And for which project, and we can give suggest for now FMCG, and let it be. And I will click on next, and let me click on review and create. See, the resource group created successfully. See, this is the resource. Let me go to home, and let me click on resource groups. See, now we are able to see the RG FMCG, resource group FMCG, but we can't see any resources. If I open this resource group, right, I can't see any resources here. We don't have nothing, right? We don't have nothing. Now we need to create some resources here. Now let me create some storage. Storage accounts. Create. Just I will create directly for now. Just I will show you the how hierarchy follows. And now we need to select under which subscription you want to create this resource. under which subscription you want to create this resource, and under which resource group you want to create this resource. See, under which subscription and under which resource group. And either you can select the existing one or you can create a new one. You can give your own name. For now, I will select the existing one and I will give some random name. SG FMCG. Okay, let me click on next. Just I am creating. The validation failed. Maybe the name issue. Let me see. There's error. No error. Let me click. Is error details already taken? Just we'll change the name. No, the validation got succeeded. Let me create. The deployment is in progress. Yeah. Now the resource created successfully. Now let me go to this resource group. If I open this resource group, now we can see our service resource. See, whatever the resource we have created, it falls under this resource group. It's just a hierarchy. It falls like this. Okay, and you can create n number of resources under this resource group, and you can create n number of resource groups as well, based upon your requirement. For each and every project, we'll have the three resource groups will be there. One is for development, and one is for unit testing, and another one is for production. Like that, we will maintain three resource groups. Under that, we will have the resources. And see, like this management is nothing but it's a tenancy. Okay, and like if I open this, right, we will have one tenant ID here under this resource group. See, this is a tenant ID. This is a management group. See, parent management group. If I copy this one and let me open the tenancy groups, tenant properties. See, this will remain same. See, both are same. The management, the management group is nothing but a tenancy. Okay. Whenever you create a one account, right, one tenant ID will be there, something like account ID. Okay. Any doubts in this? This is all about the management groups, and like once you practice it, you'll get some idea. And I will show you something like VM. VM, we will call that as a virtual machine. Okay. And now in each and every project nowadays, like we are using virtual machines. We are not using something like previously. The client used to provide something like the laptops for each and every resource, like who is onboarding. And nowadays he is not providing the like missions, and like now just he is providing the VMs. And like these VMs will be shared across like multiple users. Like they will configure like with subset of configurations, like with the OS and like the space, the storage, and everything. Like everything they will taken care, the CPU and all. And like just like they will give the access to us, and we should have some idea how we are going to connect with that virtual machine. Basically, there will be something like user ID password in our case, like once the client provides some access. But like in Azure also, we can create our own VMs, and like we can use that for our development purpose. Just I'll create one virtual machine, and like in few project side, they will use this virtual machine as a the storages, like not storages, that's a source. Let me select the same resource group, and I don't want to explain in detail all these details because anyhow it is not required. Just I will select. I will give some name. Session. Let's go. William 01. And here we need to select the sizes. Let me select that. Mm, B2. You can see the free service is eligible. You can select that one, or else you can select some other. For now, I select this B2 one, and just I will select this password, and I will give some username here, and I will give some username, something like this. FMCG one. Let it be. Okay, now it's matching. And next here, let it be. Here it will be created. So images. See, this is chargeable. Like if you create this virtual machine and if you keep that ideal, right, without stopping that, whether you use, you won't use, he is going to charge for that. You can see something like 0.05 to $8 USD per hour. This is the amount because you have chosen like the lower compute. And if you choose something like a higher compute, then obviously like there will be some huge price. Always you should be careful while using some compute services and something like the virtual machines and all. Whenever we start, like we need to make sure like we have stopped while we are closing that. It takes few minutes because virtual machine, right? It's not something like a service, like some cluster needs to spin in backend. The deployment got failed. Which is the result return operation failed complete successfully because each other terminal creation state failed. What is this? Okay. I think we don't have enough resources over there. Okay. I will drop this and I will create new one. Okay, I will take it later because anyhow it is going to take some other time. Like anyhow, like just creating and I show like how to connect that. I will show you that later. It consumes a lot of time. Okay, let me continue with some other topic. I don't have much time. Yeah, let me skip this now. And see, like we are having something like Azure storages here, right? This Azure storage is mainly used like we're having different types of Azure storages in Azure, and in Azure storages it is mainly used to store the data, and it is just like we have something like Google Drives and some databases, something like that only. It is similar kind of thing only, but in backend how it works there will be some racks in data center. There inside the racks there will be some disks, and inside a disk the data will be stored in the encrypted format, and like that the data will be stored in the Azure, and it is similar to our storage like some hard disk and hard drive and all. And what is the purpose? We have a drive and like it is similar to this similar to that, right? And like what is the use and like what are the features we have? And here, right, in Azure we are having different features. We have something like the access point of view, and on the data encryption point of view, and on the access granting on file level, on folder level, and we have few more features, something like that. We are having something like different blobs, and we have something like the data like Zen. First, like let me segregate the storages into two parts. First, we have something like blob, and data lake Zen 2. We have Zen 1, and we don't have that. And now they have removed Zen 1, and they like only we have Zen 2. And this blob is something like binary large object. This is the full form of blob, binary large object. And we have something like data like Zen 2. Data is something like it is mainly used for big data purpose. Okay. And why we have these two different types of storages in Azure storage? See, we have two different types of storages, right? One is blob and another one is data Zen. And in this blob is mainly designed to store unstructured data. Unstructured data. The name itself it defines something like a binary. Binary in the sense something like unstructured data. It is mainly designed to store unstructured data. You can't able to organize your data properly. There is no hierarchy here. There is no hierarchy. You can't able to create a folders and you can't able to place your files under that specific folder. You can't able to maintain the hierarchy. But when it comes to Azure Data Lake Zen 2, here this is mainly designed for big data purpose, like huge data, and sorry, it is mainly designed for big data, like something like a huge data, and this data like Zen 2, we have something like you can able to create hierarchy. You can able to create something like hierarchy here, and we have something like ACL, and where you can able to grant a low level access to your folder level and file level. These are the additional features which we have in Data Lake Zen 2 and which we don't have in Blob storage. In this also, in both Data Lake Zen 2 and Blob, we are having different types of blobs. Different types of blobs. Something like block, and we have something like append, and we have page. Like this, we are having different types of blobs. Block, append, and page. Okay, that we will discuss in detail. And here, like we are having so many additional features while creating. We will go through all these. Like, got it right? Like, what's the difference between the blob and it? Like this resource group, right? Let me open this storage service. After opening this, you can see something like IAM. This is something like access. IAM is identity access management. IAM is nothing but it's identity access management. Why we need this? Like if you want to grant any access, uh, like by adding some specific what I can say, like a specific role. Like we are having different roles here, and you want to add something like a read role. A read role. You want to give only the read role to that specific person. Let me select this read role and post that what I need to do. After selecting this, like we need to select this and we need to enter into the next tab. Let me open. Sorry. Let me click on add role assignment management. And here I will select the read role and post that what I will do. I will select, I will click on this select a member, and I will search for a specific identity. Like we will have in organization, we will have our own mail ID, right? Just we will search something like this. And once we search, we will get something like your name, and we'll select that, and post selecting that, and we will grant the access on this particular resource group level. But here right in access like ACL, right, access control list, over there what will happen, like we will grant the access on file level file level because we will have the multiple files. There will have something like a read, write, and execute. Okay, execute. These kind of options will be there on file level. We will select these options and we will grant the permission on that particular file. Like you are the owner. Whether the people needs to read, or whether the people needs to modify, or whether the people needs to execute that file. You are the owner. You can grant the access on file level.
So
Is
is
that
it
clear?
like those are I mean the people who are having access to this Azure storage account can perform this ACL operation? Is it in that way?
Uh, no, it based upon the role. That's what I shown you here.
Okay, okay, it's based upon the role. Okay,
Role. Yeah. If he is the owner, he can do anything.
okay, got it.
Yeah. If he is a reader, right, only he can read. He can't able to do anything.
Okay,
Yeah. Got it right?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. In this Azure storage also, we are having different types of storages. Like in this Blob and in Data Lake Zen 2, and in Blob and Data Lake Zen 2, we have a few more different storages, subtypes. Something like I can say something like subtypes, and we'll have the Blob that is common, and under that we will have something like Azure file storage, and we have something like Azure queue storage, and we have something like Azure table storage. Table storage. Okay. Like this, we have different types of storages. As I mentioned, like we will have like if you want to store some unstructured or any kind of data, like as I mentioned, like the binary is preferred for unstructured, but you can store any type of data. It is not something, but they have defined it is mainly for unstructured. And here you can able to store something like logs, images, and CSV files, JSON files, and some packet files, like whichever whatever the files you want. And like as I mentioned, like the data like Zen2, it is mainly designed for big data analytics purpose, and you can store like whatever the data you want here as well. And like it is mainly preferred for the big data, huge data. And in that, we are having something like blob and append blob, and something like page blob, as I mentioned. And the blob is mainly used to store some unstructured kind of data, the images, audios, videos, if you prefer, like the files on top. Okay. And for that, it is mainly used. And this append block is mainly used for logs. Logs in the sense, like whenever we generate some log in the sense the metadata. Take one for example, or take example as Azure Data Factory. And whenever you are performing any transformation or any action in the data factory and you want to capture the data, and data will be keep on appending, you want to capture that log, then if you want to store that kind of data, then you have to choose something like append blob is the one which we use. And the page blob is something like it is mainly used for read and write transformations. And like it is mainly it treats it like it is something like for disk. The page is works on the disk. In virtual machines we have something like a disk, like SSD and HDD. And like SSD is something like solid state drive, and HDD is something like hard drive. And like SSD is something like compared to HDD, like SSD is a faster. And like if you are having some what I can say, if you want to store the data on the disk, right, then you it will be chosen on page block. And moreover, like we'll have the block and page in Delec Zen 2, and like we don't have the append in Delec Zen 2. And let's come to this the blob already we have discussed, and the in Azure file storage. And here, right, this file storage is mainly used something like it's a network drive. This we'll call it as a network drive. What is mean by network drive? See, like this storage is physically exist in data center. But like if you want to access that from your mission, then first you have to mount to that storage. Once you mount to that storage, like you can see this file storage as a what I can say, like the drive, like we have something like the C drive, D drive, right? In our local system, in file under File Explorer, you can see, right, the drives on there. Similar way, you can see something like a network drive here. Similar way, that network drive is exist physically in Azure cloud, but you can able to perform like whichever the transformation or whichever the whatever the data you want to store, you can store, just copy paste on. You can do that, but before that you have to mount. Uh, Getting or not getting? It is something like it works on the SMB protocol, and it is something like the files will be shared across the windows and the shared drive. For example, like I have let's take I will take one example. I have the one drive, okay, and all the files have been placed here, and like this drive is having access to multiple users across your team, and like this drive, right, if I place some file, if I place some file, and like other person have like he wants to download or he wants to access that in his mission, in his mission so like just what he will do, he will mount to he will mount this drive, and once he mount to this drive, right, automatically he can see the drive in his PC, and he can copy paste that, but the drive is exist in the cloud, but post the mount he can able to access that in his machine, but it is not going to consume his mission's space, just his mounting, that's it. It works on the network, is on internet, that's it. Is that clear? Any doubts in this? Getting or not getting? Okay, let's move to next topic. And we have something like the queue storage. The queue storage is mainly designed for messages like whenever you want to pass any message for an application for communication purpose, and this message storage will be used, and you can upload, like you can add like whatever the message you want, and you can call that message from another app, and just it will process that message. Just it is something like it's a message for message only, just whatever the message you want, right, you want to convey, just you can type over there and you can pass that application. That application reads that message and it will start the processing. That's it. There's a purpose of this Azure queue storage. It is something like the message. It is message storage service. And we have something like Azure table storage. This Azure table storage is mainly used something like this storage something like it is something like a key value pair. Yes, let me give something like key value. Okay, key and value. It holds something like key and value kind of data. Key and value kind of data. For example, like I have the job ID. Okay, job ID, and I have something like some status, or else let me take something like this. Job ID, and is something like I will give 1 2 3. Come on, and again status, and what is the status? We'll mark it as a success. and something like some timestamp. I will give some random, assume something like this. Okay, and this is something like a key value date kind of. This will call it as a key value date. Why we are calling this as a key value data? See, if you take this as a key, if you take this as job ID as a key, and for this job ID we have the value something like 123, and we have something like status as a key field, and we have the status value here as a success, and we have something like a timestamp, and we have that value as some date. Okay, to store this kind of data we will use this Azure table storage. This is mainly used to store this kind of data. This is mainly used to store the key value pair kind of data. Okay, like this we are having different types of storage services in our Azure. Just I have gave some brief like introduction, like just on theory part, and I will show you that in detail in demo as well. Let me try to show you like what are the features we have, what are the options we have while creating the storage, right? Not resource group. I'll cover few options here. And as I mentioned, like while creating any storage service, and we need to select these options, like this is a common, the subscription, the resource group, and post that you have to give some name here. Post that you have to give some name. This name must be unique across all existing storage accounts in Azure. For example, let me give something like dev. It won't pick. It will throw some error. See, it is showing some error. The storage account name, the dev is already taken, but we don't have the storage. We don't have the storage account with that name in our portal. But even though it is giving, already it's taken. Okay, it must be unique and it must be in case sensitive. See, if you don't know what type of name you want to give here, just keep your cursor on this eye for information. See, the name must be unique across all existing storage account names in Azure, and it must be 3 to 24 characters long, and it contains only lowercase and numbers. It accepts the numbers and it accepts the only lowercase letters. Okay, and let me give some dev underscore, not fm, anyhow it is not going to take fmcg. Yes, tg. Just I gave some random name. Let me give some name. I gave some number, and here, right, by default whichever the resource group you have selected, and based upon this resource group, like while creating this resource group we need to select the region, right? Whatever the region you have provided to the resource group, same resource group region you can see here as well, here as well. And if you want to create in same region you can, or else you can create in different region in whichever the region you want. And always the some one small suggestion, like while creating any service, and you have to make sure that particular service is available in that particular region, because all the services are not available in all regions. Whatever the services we see in east US, and we may not see some other services in some other region, or west US, or somewhere in central US or somewhere. Okay, we have to make sure like whether the services exist or there or not. And post this we have something like a primary service. Primary service is something like we have for what you want to create, either Azure Blob storage or Red Lake Zen2, or for file Azure files, or something like table or queue. For what purpose you want to create this service, for which may for what you are looking for majorly, you have to select accordingly. Okay, and for now we'll select this Azure storage or Azure Red Lake Zen2. And we have something like a performance. What is mean this? We have two options here. One is standard and another one is premium. And you can see something like the recommended for most scenarios, general purpose V2 account, and recommended for scenario that require low latency. And we have two options, right? The standard is something like HDD, as I mentioned just now, HDD, and the premium is something like SSD. See the difference between the SSD and hard drive compared to HDD. The SSD is more faster and reliable. You will get quick response from SSD. SSD, you'll get quick response, and there will be a low latency. Why? Like how we are saying means like whenever you are performing something like read and write transformation, right? Read and write, and whenever you are performing some read and write transformation, right? Just like there will be a some delay in HDD, and there will be a, when like whenever you want some data, like when, after storing the huge data, right, you may not expect the quick response from that particular storage either on HHD. So like you can move that to HDD, and like after creating this account, right, you don't have the option to switch from SSD to HDD, HDD to SSD. You have to create another account, and you need to transfer this data into that account. That you have to do again. You have to migrate that. You won't get that option to select post creating the service. And we have this redundancy. Redundancy is something like just a backup purpose, and we are having more features here. That I will cover tomorrow from here, because it takes 20 more minutes. I'll continue from here from tomorrow.